Stop the killing of these Christians. Stop the kidnapping of these children. This has got to end. It's a human tragedy that's taking place over there.
Looking at the conditions given to the Nigerian government, that number one get as it go feel.
Why?
For American government to come out openly and clearly to tell you that there's genocide in Nigeria, they have their data. So that first condition is a serious condition. Going to the second one, that one to another begin. Is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ready?
So, Office of the United States Secretary of War don't come out, come explain the real details of the conversation and mediation and big talk where him and Nigerian delegates get. And it's very important make we pay attention to this. The need for Nigeria to demonstrate commitment to work by, with, and through Nigeria. You hear him? To work by, with, and through Nigeria to deter and degrade terrorists. Explaining the two conditions where they don't give Nigeria on how they go fit use handle this matter. The only two conditions where they permissible for them to fit partner with Nigeria, working with Nigeria on this. Say, except those conditions are met, then that means they would take their own actions by coming guns a-blazing. So the problem or the question is, will Nigerian government be able to meet with this? Now, so while our Nigerian government, they give us feedback, say, no Ribado they there to claim misconception. The US government, they give us feedback, say, our people, they cooperate on how to stop Christian killings. Which one we go agree? Office of the United States Secretary of War don't come out, come explain the real details of the conversation and mediation and big talk where him and Nigerian delegates get. And it's very important make we pay attention to this. So Office of the United States Secretary of War has provided details of its meeting with the Nuhu Ribadu-led delegation from Nigeria. The Assistant on Public Affairs and Advisor to the Secretary of War, Sean Parnell, provided the details of the meeting held between Peter Hegseth and the Ribadu-led Nigerian delegation to the United States. Now, it was reported earlier that the National Security Advisor, NSA, Ribadu, met with Hegseth following US President Donald Trump's threat to attack jihadist groups, and not Nigeria, to attack jihadist groups terrorizing and killing Christians in Nigeria. Now, it was also reported that the delegation comprised the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianco Ojukwu, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetekun, Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Olufemi Oloyede, and amongst others. Now, Trump had recently designated Nigeria as of course country of particular concern based on claims of Christians killing, systematically being killed in the country. Talking about the meeting with Nigerian, Parnell posted on war.gov on November 20. Secretary of War Peter Hegseth welcomed the delegation of security leaders from the Federal Republic of Nigeria led by their National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, or Mr. Malaikola, Mr. Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to the Pentagon. Still quoting except from their response, says, both leaders discussed issues, ways to make tangible progress on stopping violence against Christians in Nigeria and combating West African jihadist terrorist groups. Now, Secretary Hegseth emphasized the need for Nigeria to demonstrate commitment and take both urgent and enduring action to stop violence against Christians, and convey the department's desire to work by, with, and through Nigeria. You hear him? To work by, with, and through Nigeria to deter and degrade terrorists that threaten the United States of America. Now, I would like make you react to this, but whilst you're reacting to this, I also want you to note that I think it was Riley Moore who spoke to Fox News yesterday, explaining the two conditions where they don't give Nigeria on how they go fit use handle this matter. The only two conditions where they permissible for them to fit partner with Nigeria, working with Nigeria on this. say, except those conditions are met, then that means they would take their own actions by coming guns a blazing. And one of the conditions we in give, now say one, then go make sure, say, may Nigerian government make sure, say, they release Sunday Jackson, the guy who was sentenced to death, or who is sentenced to death for defending himself from Fulani armed man who would have killed him. Two, they must show them a road plan, a plan to say a workable strategic plan to see how they won't disarm those Fulani headsmen and other terrorists. If they don't see anything tangible, then that means they would come and do it for them. Let me quickly play excerpt of that interview so that so they say lizard where one person see. Now Python it become. So the problem or the question is, will Nigerian government be able to meet with this? Now, the reason I have to raise this issue is that the Minister of Information yesterday talked, say, oh, there are delegation in the United States and they work very hard to clear the misconception about Christian genocide in Nigeria. So while our Nigerian government, they give us feedback, say, no Ribado day there to clear misconception. The US government, they give us feedback, say, our people, they cooperate on how to stop Christian killings. Which one we go agree? Which one we no go agree? Well, make her quickly go play that one where be say, Oga Riley Moore talk for Fox News. Basically,
it's illegal to own firearms in Nigeria, but somehow these nomadic tribesmen can just lay waste and murder all over the country against Christians, and nobody does anything. But you have this individual, Sunday Jackson, who's a Christian farmer who defended himself against an Islamic radical Fulani militant. He's facing the death penalty right now. Where's the justice in that? And that's one of the things I think the Nigerian government can do, is to restore credibility in their government and their justice system, is to free Sunday Jackson.
Congressman Moore, I want to play some remarks you made 2 weeks ago on this program. You had a word of caution, perhaps, I would say, to the Nigerian government, with whom you met some representatives this week. Here's what you said 2 weeks ago.
I'm asking Nigeria, do the right thing here. Partner with the United States. Help us protect the Christians in your country, and we will help you. This doesn't have to be all sticks. It can also be carrots here. Or we do have these kinetic military options on the table, which the president has made very clear he will consider.
You met with the Nigerian delegation this week. Have those kinetic threats moved them at all?
Kayleigh, actually, I will say that the meeting was productive. It was frank, very honest with them, and it does sound like they are open to partnering with the United States to stop these killings. They met with myself and the administration as well, including Secretary Pete Hegseth. And so I think we did make some progress in getting them to a place to partner with us to stop these killings. But there's a lot of things that they can do, and I think one of these first steps is releasing Sunday Jackson. I think another one is coming up, working with us for a plan to disarm these militants in the middle belt of the country, the Fulani Islamic radicals that are there. But we did make progress in that conversation.
I do want to also pull up some words that stuck out to me. This is in the New York Times. And this was about the earlier attack. It's sad that you have to differentiate. There were 2 schoolgirl attacks this week. Well, this was the earlier one. The gunman stormed the school for more than 20 minutes, apparently without any intervention from security forces. There is a security checkpoint not far from the school. And the Nigerian police force says, look, we were there. There's so many mixed messages. Are you confident that they're trying to rescue these girls? I mean, I think back, this has happened since 2014 when Boko Haram took those sweet little girls.
Well, and those girls all haven't been returned yet either. And so this is escalating out of control. The National Security Advisor who led that high-level delegation that came to the U.S. for these meetings, they understand that they are in a rock and a hard place here, and they got to make the right decision, or President Trump is going to start making some decisions. He's made that very clear. But I do think that this is an opportunity for the Nigerians to work with us in coordination and cooperation to end this. Stop the killing of these Christians. Stop the kidnapping of these children. This has got to end. It's a human tragedy that's taking place over there.
So here was it say, except we go fit take our own decision, unless say President Trump still gets his own method where he say he's still down the table where they consider. which is guns are blazing. But let me take your reaction, especially based on, this conversation, the details of waiting their conversation be so far. Waiting you think the Nigerian government will likely do?
All right. You started by asking a question that the Ministry of Information.
Yes. The Ministry of Information. Yes.
Yes. Giving their own details. The American government is on the other one giving their own details. And you asked the question, which one do we take?
Yes.
Obviously, you know that your Ministry of Information would want to tell the Nigerian people that they're on top of the game. Because they know that a lot of Nigerians don't read. A lot of Nigerians don't listen. A lot of Nigerians don't watch television. Because, first of all, now when people get light, now you can watch television. You understand? Now, obviously, I wouldn't expect anything less from the Nigerian government than to tell us that they're on top of their game. Which, as we have seen, they are not. Now, looking at the conditions given to the Nigerian government, that number one, get as it go be.
Why?
And I'll tell you why. The Supreme Court, they always find it difficult to recall its judgment. So when that judgment was passed, Nigerians rejected it. Nigerians objected to it. Nigerians spoke out. And to show you that the American government has data, I am sure that in the mind of the Nigerian delegation, that was the list of the thing they wanted to hear.
I don't even know. So the Sunday Jackson is just an ordinary farmer waiting on JJL. We don't know anybody.
So that is to show you that I told somebody, I told somebody, I said, for American government to come out openly and clearly to tell you that there's genocide in Nigeria, they have their data. They're not like us. How many are we in this country, Precious? How many are we in Nigerians? We claim to be 200 million. Some people say 230 million. We have to wait for United Nations. We have to wait for UNICEF. We have to wait for another body, foreign body, to tell you how many you people are. How many births do we have in a day in Nigeria? How many deaths do we have? So these are issues that we don't have data. And it is because of the fact that we don't have data. That is why your Minister for Foreign Affairs, or whatever you call it, was spewing rubbish. I was spewing rubbish. You leave the issue on ground, you're attacking the personality of somebody else. Because he didn't have data. They're asking you, how many people have died? How many Christians have died? As a minister going to speak on a national issue, on an issue that is affecting 200 million Nigerians, he should have data on his iPad. Like this. He should have it. But he didn't have data. He didn't have data. And that because he didn't have data, he didn't know what to say.
No, but
and when he was caught up, and he didn't know what to say, he now decided to attack the lady. And you can see the expression on his face that it was just because he felt deflated. So that first condition is a serious condition. Now, going to the second one, that one to another begin. Is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu ready? Is he willing to do the needful? Is he ready and willing to rid Nigeria of these terrorist groups? To disseminate, to scatter them, to kill them? Is he ready? If your president is ready, if the government wants to follow the conditions put forward by the American team, the first thing your president would have done by now is to release the names of those who are sponsoring banditry, terrorism in Nigeria.
Now, Our former Attorney General, Malami.
It doesn't matter whether Malami hold on. It doesn't matter, but he should release it. That is where to start from. Let us know who these sponsors are.
It's possible for the Nigerian government to meet these two conditions.
It's going to be very, very impossible. It's going to be impossible. Jokes apart. It's going to be impossible. Because while they were in America holding discussions, to find a way forward, what were the terrorists doing? They were even daring everybody. They started a new system of kidnapping, killing, maiming. Don't forget that in that second demand, you must consider how to take back the people living in IDP camps to their ancestral homes. You must consider it.
And
you must consider. Good. You must also consider the fact that you would have to purge the military to know who is selling out information. See, look at the death of Brigadier General Uba. Up to today, nobody has said to Nigerians who sold out the intel of the man's location. Because when people say it's because they put it on social media, you forget that messages on WhatsApp is encrypted. So who sold out the man's location? Obviously, it must be somebody who was there when the man was talking. Moreover, Precious,
sir,
a brigadier general in the battlefront, no protection, no surveillance.
Even after he escaped safe to get
nothing. It shows you that, man, every man to himself. That's the truth.
You say you do not see a Nigerian government meeting up to these. So if they don't meet up, the next option that say Trump could take his decision where they on the table already, will be guns are blazing. And that's actually what Nigerian government is worried about. So in order to stop that action, wouldn't it be better? Because the Moore sounded very optimistic, and he said that the Nigerian government, sounds very willing and they are cooperating. His words, that they are cooperating fine and they sound very willing to work with them. But it feels say this willingness not just a surface willingness, or really then they try to do what they fit to make sure say them stop the guns are blazing. That now,
well,
a lot of people go on.
The willingness is a propaganda tool.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what it is. See, Precious, I'll say this, the political class will do whatever it takes to protect their source of income. They started by trying to gaslight America by getting some Nnamdi Kanu will call them if by getting some people who call themselves patriots to start doing video, talking about patriotism, talking about our resources, talking about how America wants to come and take off our natural resources. But they forgot that the people themselves they are governing are not benefiting from those resources. And so when the people now started questioning those people who we are talking about resources, that the people are saying America is coming to take the resources. What is the benefit from these resources? They kept quiet. Since that time, nobody's doing video again. So when that didn't work, they came up and said that your president was going to see Donald Trump. Or maybe they don't wait and say, this man feel bullshit to the president. They withdraw that one. It's okay, your president will meet them in G20. As that one no work, he sent the Ribado and Co. But for them, it is not a decision they can take immediately. So they need to come back. And since they came back, we are waiting. Nigerians are waiting. Has the killing stopped? No. Has the kidnapping stopped? No. So it's a tightrope for the government. But let's see how they will maneuver over it. Because like I said, those two conditions, they are filled up. They look simple to the ear, but by the time they begin to itemize the details of those two conditions, you say, will not say, these people prepare for Nigerian leadership.